Hello again, and welcome back to your daily dose of Dominions, turn 73, in which we see if there is anything left to recover after the debacle of last turn. Well, hey, free gifts, so that's great. And a messenger. Yup. Well, let's see how I reply to him in a bit. So he says he'll leave me alone except for Helheim because he still wants that. And just gives me stuff. Okay, maybe not Helheim proper, but other stuff. Yup. This is from me, and this is from Hinnom. Very punny. Hinnomites. I'll get you for that. Probably not for like 20 turns, but I'm still coming for you. Yeah, you better believe it. We're not out of this yet. So, what all of this means is a number of things. First, we'll just take a look and see that monkeys can apparently beat Blackhawks. So there's that. There was just a Baronhurst there, apparently. He didn't last long. And I made the archers run away. So the current state of the world is basically what happened. This being such an important battle for the fate of the world and all that jazz, everyone who was still alive and in this game, the four of us, all had scouts there and were waiting to see what would happen. So when it happened, and I lost horribly, I apparently got much sympathy from the other players who were still viewing Hinnom as a threat because, reasons, and decided to throw their support behind me once again. So in certain circumstances, losing can actually give you a little bit of a boost if you play it right. Though in this case, I just sort of got lucky with how badly I lost, A, and B, everybody was watching. I mean, it was kind of obvious that this was going to be a very important major event. But so the tides have not exactly returned in my favor, but I have been given a little bit of a reprieve. Now, what am I going to do with that? I've already started doing my little part to retake my lands on my own from there wasn't really much around to begin with anyways. And I sent a message to Airmore too. Yeah, basically, I don't like you. I did not like that you attacked me, and I'm going to attack you still, because at this point in the game, I thought he was the easier target than Hinnom was. Hinnom, I'd seen his essential strategy, the difficulty with which I would be pressed in going for his capital. It would not be easy, and I'd have to fight him off pretty heavily there. Airmore's just got a bunch of chaff, really, and a lot of astral mages. The astral mages are the real hard part because they can do a lot of things like enslaving mind and mind burn and paralyze and all that jazz, and he does outnumber me. Turns out his strategy was just to build as many forts as possible so he can recruit as many mages as possible. And it's not an unreasonable strategy. It does have its merits in certain circumstances. This being one of those circumstances, where you can just spam a bunch of astral mages against a numerically weaker opponent, such as myself, because I just lost my massive army. I have a little bit of stuff rolling around, but essentially the next phase of this game is going to involve me retaking my lands and pushing for Airmore. Hinam and I talked a little bit as well. Communication is not going to be visible in messages because I had moved to Discord at this point, and that's where we were talking for the most part. I don't think that at this point we had really come to any sort of agreement with what we were going to do, other than the fact that I beat him up, he beat me up more, and so we'll see what can happen. I also did kill off his air guy, so there's that. But other than that, he still hasn't really locked down the AI provinces here, and those, I imagine, are still stabbing him in the back. I can't really see right now, but is still alive, technically speaking. He's still got at least this province, and Niflheim is still... Niflheim and Helheim are still here as well, though Helheim is not long for this world. Other than that, he is still, I think, my biggest threat, but Airmore is my most annoying threat. And sometimes you really just try and go for the easier stuff, or the ostensibly easier stuff that you think can be dealt with sooner and quicker, and consolidate that territory before moving on to bigger fish. That's my thinking. This does also sort of solidify my relationship with Tianqi in terms of keeping him as an ally and keeping him as a good back to have to the wall. So even though he has troops wandering around here, it was mostly to chase around the Melkwort that was roaming, and so I will just sort of drive him away. The archers just run away because they have no leadership, so I'll just drive him out and retake those territories and then move forward from there. Other than that, it's just pretty much not exactly counter raiding so much as taking back lands that I have sort of neglected in my single-minded attack on Hinam, which is a complete and utter failure. So I'm still pretty much on the back foot right now, and I'm not making life any easier for myself by deciding to immediately shift my attention and direct my attacks toward Airmore, because I will still be fighting without taking a breather. So that is kind of dumb of me, but that's my thinking. I think I'm going through the stages of grief. I have sorrow and now anger, and I don't really actually know what the stages of grief are, but it's something like that. And so that's my thinking. And again, this whole series has basically just been about me playing the game, showing you what decisions process I was making at the time at each of these stages. Since playing this game, this turn was like over a month ago now, I think, and I have since learned a lot of different things about how I would play, about the kinds of things I would do. I don't know if I would do a whole lot differently, other than the fact that this probably wouldn't have been a total loss. I think that I am still the kind of person who does not really like having chaotic neighbors, unpredictable neighbors. Diplomacy doesn't really work if you can't have someone on whom you can rely, whether it be a reliable friend or a reliable enemy. And honestly, TNG is a reliable friend, Hinam is a reliable energy, and Airmore is just chaos. And I really just, at this time, and also probably present day me, think of that as more of a liability that is better off removed from the game before moving forward in order to take the game one step at a time. Because, I mean, just look at this map. It's like an eyesore with Swiss cheese holes and pain to my eyes. So that's just a personal preference. That's probably the kind of player that I'm going to be in diplomacy, in present and future games as well. So that's something that I learned about myself. I'm not saying that this is a great idea. I think, like I've said repeatedly, it's better to take a breather, consolidate your holdings, and Hinam is not exactly like uncontested to win this right now. So if I had kept pushing him, especially with the backing of both Airmore and TNG, and if maybe I had just been like, you know what, heck, take Helheim, I don't even care, I can go without it, and we'll just raffle stomp Hinam, and then I'll come back and take Helheim, because honestly, Airmore hasn't been able to take a single one of my forts, and that's just through a combination of superior monoliths and superior magic and superior tactics, even in the face of overwhelming numbers of units from him. So I feel pretty confident that I could take this back if I really wanted it, if I just let him have it. But that's not what I did. That's not what I'm going to do. So we're going to move forward in this game with you watching me now fight against Airmore, and probably a little bit of Hinam as well still. What else happened? Okay, yeah, he left his army left there. We're patrolling Kailasa to try and get rid of some of that excuse me, unrest. Sorry. And then always comes in twos. I am getting enough to recruit finally, so that wasn't that bad. All is not lost, all is not terrible. So I think that's pretty much it for now. I don't have the money for mercenaries, and my research is going to go for Alteration 9 now. I don't remember what I was exactly at beforehand, but I think that is my plan. I did promise Hinam that we talked a lot about what I did wrong in that siege and in that storming of that castle. There are a lot of things I did wrong, but I did say that now that I know he commits pretty heavily to fire, he can expect to see Army of Gold next battle that we have. So that's my objective. Army of Gold, and throw an Army of Gold in Hinam's face and see how he handles that. Alright, that's all for this turn, and we'll just keep on trucking and see how my war with Airmore goes. Have a good night.